Hello guys and welcome to my new video, and today we're going to talk about why special elections sometimes don't matter. Why? Because many Democrats this year have been overperforming elections when you compare to the 2024 cycle and the 2022 cycle. They are just overperforming by a lot, sometimes by even 20, 30 points. I'm gonna look forward to seeing in terms of results of the congressional special elections. We got 3 so far this year. Also the Wisconsin Supreme Court election, the Democrats overperformed by a lot, won by about 10 points in Wisconsin, which is a competitive state. At least Trump won there, but just barely by 1 point something points in 2024. So Democrats are actually doing much better in terms of special elections. But why this cannot matter, at least when you compare it to 2026 cycle and also 2028 cycle? Look, this is the Virginia 11th congressional district special election. We did a live stream covering everything. I said the target for the Democrats was 70 plus. They did it. They did 75 plus. They did an overperformance of about 14 to 16 points. I think, just to remember by myself. So I think it was about 14 points, and they did very great. Okay, they were, I'm sorry, 16 points, and they did amazing because they overperformed by a lot. 16 points is really a lot. If you apply that swing around the country as a whole, you get a huge result for the Democrats in the next year. Still going to be a little bit more than 2018. You know how the districts are not as competitive as they were in the past, like in 2018, in 2014, in 2012, also in 2016. They were more competitive, so it was easier to make flips. Right now it's much more difficult. That's why even Republicans had a bad year in 2022 because of that. And right now you just want to move to Florida. So this is the Florida 1st District special election. The Republicans won by only 15 points, and it was about 15 points, and they won here by 32. So this was a 32 to 15. You think, okay, but that's huge. It is huge, but look at the turnout: 171,000, and here was 415,000. So this can be one of two things. The Republicans are not that enthusiastic to vote. Okay, they don't have a lot of enthusiasm. And that could be a problem for next year's election. But this means it's just in a special election, or is this a more general trend? Because they won Pensacola. This is Escambia County. They won Escambia County. And look, Trump won here by about 20 points or something. I'm just saying it from the top of my head, but I think it was around 20 points. The point I'm making is very simple. Was this just a one-off election that the Republicans are just underperforming because they do not look enthusiastic to vote? But this could mean all of the two things. Trump still has a quite great approval rating. Can say whatever you want, but he has about 46% or something. So that's still great for Trump. For Trump, it's great because Trump is not a very popular. It was not popular at all during his first time, nor during his second one. So Trump is not a popular figure in America. So he has his own base, but it's just his own base. He does not have a huge supporter, and we go to the moderate people, not a fan of him. They're not a fan of him. But it's just a point I'm making. Trump is his own turnout machine. That's why I'm saying probably these elections are not so great for Republicans. Are not being so great. Neither was 2022 because Trump was not in the ballot. So Trump was not in the ballot in 2018, in 2022, in many of these special elections, and the Republicans did underperform a lot. But when you compare to 2021, when Glenn Youngkin won in Virginia, when Chuck Schiaparelli was very close in New Jersey, Trump was not in the ballot, and Glenn Youngkin did very well. But it was more the time that Trump was not in the ballot, the Republicans did bad, because Trump is his own turnout machine, as I was saying. And if he's not in the ballot, the Republicans are probably not going to turn out in a huge way like they did, or like they do when Trump is there. Because you go to these very small counties like Walton County, and he still underperformed in Walton County, and also in Okaloosa County, Santa Rosa, and Escambia. So this was the Florida 1st, and you go to the Florida 6th. This was the results in 2024. Just shy, because this was in April, so this was just shy of 7 months after the election, 7 after the election. So you're not thinking a lot of did change, but it changed. This was a win by 33 points. And look at this. This was a win by 14. And what I'm making here is, you would think, but Volusia County was 20 points. It was just 2 points. So 18 points ended up forming the Volusia County area. Volusia County is a very important county for the Democrats in this district. It's the more democratic district in county, or at least part of the county, because it's not the entire part of Lucia, but it's the more democratic part of this 6th district. But then you go to the Republican parts, are also a very huge underperformance. So this could mean that they are not energized to vote. You go here, for example, you just go here, like 74-26 was a 52 points, 42 points, 42 points for 42 no 40 48 points, I'm sorry, Putin County, 48 points for Michael Waltz. You go here, Putin County was 34. It was a 14 points in the performance in a huge Republican county. This is turnout, okay? It doesn't matter, and look at the turnout, it was much lower as well. Democrats was basically 50%, and Republicans were not even, was 33%. So Republicans were actually down in turnout. The Democrats were about 50% of 2024, but Republicans were actually around 33%. So this was from of turnout. Republicans did so poorly in Florida because of turnout, okay? Because they're not energized to vote. This could be very important for next year's election. I'm going to make a point here. And in Virginia and in New Jersey and in New York mayoral and also in the referendum in California, they'll be very important. We're going to see if the Republicans are actually turning out, and they're going to turn out for the candidates for the referendum, for Winsome Sears in Virginia, also for Jack Ciattarelli in New Jersey, because if they don't turn out, the Democrats could actually win by a very big margin. But that's just a point I'm making. Then you move to the Wisconsin Supreme Court election, because this was the election that Elon Musk was very into it. With that, he was giving a million votes to people. A million votes, not a million dollars for people who signed his petition to make liberal justice not so partisan, or whatever it was called. And also, Trump was very into it as well, because this was a very important election. This was the Wisconsin Supreme Court election. The liberals got a majority, but then the liberal justice went out, and this was to replace the liberal justice, and the liberals won. This was not Democratic versus Republican, but they were very political elections, even though Wisconsin Supreme Court are nonpartisan. That's why it says here endorsed by, not it is a Democrat versus a Republican. But look, this was very bad in all terms. Look, Milwaukee, 75-25, 50 points in Milwaukee, that shows it's bad. It should be 40, not 50. Not even 40, it should be 37, 38, not 50. Madison, look at the turnout in Madison, 82-18. Trump got here 24, I think, or 20 something, 23 or 24. 18, this was a 10 points. 10 points in the performance in Dane County, Madison. I think we got more votes in Madison, we didn't, but it was very, very close, because Dane County is the University of Wisconsin. Madison is a very important county for the Democrats, as you know, but this was huge in terms of turnout for the Democrats. Democrats were very great. They won every county in the bow. They won Brown, or the Yami, and Winnebago. They barely lost Ozaukee, and this is the WOW counties, Waukesha, Ozaukee, and Washington. So you need to think about how big this election was for the Democrats. Even won Kenosha. Kenosha should be Republican. Trump won here in 2016, in 2020, and in 2024. I'm not even talking about Brown County, because this is very Republican territory. Even Mitt Romney won here in 2012. So you go to Eau Claire, you should be Democratic, but not by 26 points. That's what I'm making. This was a huge win for the Democrats, and it was part because of the turnout. The turnout in Madison City probably was higher in the April election, the Wisconsin Supreme Court election, than when you compare to 2024 general election. So Kamala lost because of the lack of turnout when you compare it to Biden, and probably Susan Crawford won in a landslide, 10 points in battleground Wisconsin, because she got a huge turnout, at least in the cities. You mean Milwaukee, you mean Madison, you mean even parts of Green Bay were very Democratic, because she did a very great job there. You go to, for example, Rock County, she's Janesville, should be Democratic, but it was very, very close in 2024. Look, this was a 22 points race, not even close. And when you compare, because Milwaukee is much bigger than Dane, at least supposedly it is, and the turnout was very similar. That's why they were very energized in Dane County. And then you think, what is in Dane County? It's the University of Wisconsin. Youth people turn out like a rock, because they wanted to go after, and they want to send a message to the Trump administration and to Elon Musk and all of the political influence he was doing in this race. And that is it. I mean, this is very important. This is a warning sign for the Republicans, if you will, for next year's election, also this year's in November. You need to think that you don't, if you continue having these margins, continue underperforming by a lot. I know that the only election that happened after the unfortunate Charlie Kirk's death was an overperformance by the Republicans. So this could mean that the Republicans are more energized to vote after his death, because probably he motivated a lot of young people to go into politics, and now they're more motivated to vote. This is just the facts. I'm not saying it is like that, but you saw, I'm recording this video on the 20th, and the 20th of September, and this will gonna be released, I think, 25th or something, and Charlie, in the first day of Virginia early vote was yesterday, and the Republicans did overperform by a lot in Republican counties. The turnout was much bigger percentage-wise, you can compare to 2024, rather than in the Democratic areas. But we're gonna make a video on the 28th. I think we're gonna have a video about Virginia, about analyzing the patterns we have already for the gubernatorial race in November. And this is the video, guys. I hope you have liked the video. Don't forget to subscribe and leave your like, and we'll see you in the next. Thank you.